What's up, YouTube? This is me, Agent Dave, aka Fanatical for Jesus, aka Way, aka David Chu. Just coming to you real quick. First, I just want to say that I'm back. I know y'all missed me, so I'm back. And I don't know how often I'm gonna make videos because this phone I have is a piece of shit. But I'm in the process of getting a new phone that'll hopefully work better. And once I do, then I'll make more consistent videos again. But for now, I just wanted to get this off my chest. Um, most of y'all who have been subscribed to me for any length of time already know that I am very open about my struggle with bipolar disorder. But what I don't really talk about is something that I have experienced within the Christian church that really, really infuriates me. There are usually two types of reactions that someone with mental illness, such as myself, experience from the Christian church when other people in the church start to find out that that person has a mental illness. The first reaction is to be standoffish, to kind of shy away from that person and not really have too much communication with that person. The second reaction is to coddle them and be overly nice and be like, oh, poor baby, he has like a really bad struggle that he's struggling with. Let's just coddle him and make him feel better. And no, both of these reactions stem from the same thing. It's a fear of that person with mental illness, quote unquote, flipping out. The person that is standoffish is afraid that the mental illness person is going to flip out, so they stay away from them. The person that is overly nice and coddling, they're afraid of the mental illness person flipping out, so they feed the mental illness person with all kinds of pleasantries and is overly nice to try and lull them into a sense of calmness, and so they don't flip out. Both of these are wrong, and if you're responsible for the being overly nice, then you're not a good person. You're not. You may be able to trick yourself into thinking you're a good person because you're overly nice to the mentally ill person, but no, you're just as bad as the person that is standoffish and stays away from the mentally ill person. And it pains me when I think about this, because these are people within the Christian church. These are people who profess to love Jesus Christ, the man who said, "This is how the world will know you are my disciples, by your love for one another." That he didn't say by your love for one another, except if the person has mental illness. No, he said by your love for one another. And if you don't know what love is, I suggest you read 1 Corinthians chapter 13. Gives you a perfect definition of love right then and there. And that is how you should be acting if you claim to love Jesus Christ. And it's just infuriating. Like, people in the church reacting this way when they should know better. And I get it, like, everybody, like, people in church are just like everybody else in the world. They're fallen creatures who are sinful and incredibly selfish. Like, everybody in church is a fallen creature who is incredibly selfish and sinful. Like, just like everybody in the world. However, when the world is doing more for the mentally ill population than the church is, that's a problem. That is a huge problem. I mean, when you have someone like Demi Lovato, who, as far as I know, doesn't even claim to be a Christian, is up there giving speeches about her struggle with bipolar disorder to raise more awareness of mental illness, and the church is doing absolutely nothing, that's a problem. That is a serious problem. I guarantee you, if you go to any church, anywhere in the world, anywhere, like, I don't care where it is, it's any kind of church, Baptist, Lutheran, Methodist, Pentecostal, Reformed, whatever, you go to any Christian church, anywhere in the world, I guarantee you, there will be at least one person that struggles with some form of mental illness, whether it's bipolar, schizophrenia, PTSD, social anxiety, any kind of mental illness. There'll be at least one person within each congregation that suffers some sort of mental illness. And what happens to that person, generally speaking, what happens to that person is they either get swept under the rug and ignored as if they're not even there, or they get overly coddled and as if they're like a newborn infant. These are just some observations I have made that has gone on within the church. And I've heard stories from other people with mental illness that have had similar experiences within the church. And if you're a mentally ill person who has found a church that loves you and supports you and treats you like an equal, and then I praise God for that. And there needs to be more churches like that church. Obviously, that church is educated when it comes to mental illness, and that church knows how to help people who struggle with mental illness. And there needs to be more churches like that. But the thing is, there's not enough churches that are like that. There isn't. There just is not enough churches that are like that. And it's just sad. Next time you feel like you want to mistreat someone with mental illness, and yes, coddling them is mistreating people with mental illness. Being overly nice to someone with mental illness is mistreating them. Because we don't want to be coddled like we're newborn infants, and we do not want to be ignored as if we don't even exist. We want to be treated just like everybody else. That's all we want. We want to be treated just like the next person. We want to be treated just like everybody else. And this is something the Christian church has to understand. We are not social pariahs. I can't. You know what I'm trying to say. I can't say that word. We're not outcasts. So treat us with the same respect that you would treat your next door neighbor or treat your best friend. That's how we would want to be treated. And yeah, it's just ridiculous that the church, Jesus said, however you treat the least of these, my brethren, you have done unto me. Well, think about it like this. The mentally ill people that you come in contact with at church or elsewhere are the least of his brethren. So the way you treat the mentally ill is a direct reflection of how you're treating Christ. So think about that next time you see someone with mental illness. Think about how you're treating Christ when you decide to overly coddle that mentally ill person to spare their feelings, or how you're treating Christ when you decide to turn your back on that mentally ill person. Just think about that. Just some food for thought. Anyways, that's all I have to say for now. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And as always, don't forget to rate and subscribe. Alright, have a good day. God bless you. And deuces.